Welcome to NEXTGames' Intense Ambuscade series. Now today, we'll be taking on March 2022's Volume 1 Intense Ambuscade against Anticans and a Cactaur. Now this month's run last occurred in January 2020 and is one of the easier runs out there, providing many ways to take this on with many different jobs. First, let's start with key item acquisition. Now this month, the main place that you'll want to go is Quicksand Cave's Geomagnetic Fount. With it, you can get the key item for this month's run in under a minute, as you see me doing right here. Now if you don't have this unlocked yet, I went over how to do so in the January 2020 video. I'll link it below in the top pinned comment in case you need to go through that process. Next, let's discuss this month's run. It is against an Antican by the name of the Bozzetto Consul, which is a warrior. It's also against a Cactaur running around by the name of the Sabotender Dulce. Now, once the Consul is engaged, the Dulce will start to run into range and use a Needles move every 10 to 15 seconds. Now, it's during this short time, when it's using that Needles move, that you have to get your damage in on that Cactaur. Now, it is possible to leave the Cactaur alive and focus only on the Consul, but this will have two main downsides. The first is that while the Sabotender is alive, he will continue to hit your group with his Needles move every 10 to 15 seconds. Now the amount of damage this does is dependent upon the difficulty you're facing this on. It's only 100 damage on VE, 1000 on easy, 2000 on normal, 4000 on difficult, and 10,000 needles on very difficult. Now the second main downside to leaving him alive is that he will continue to spawn adds that must be killed in order to win this run. Again, the amount of adds that spawn will be dependent upon the difficulty. Now on the very easy difficulty, he's only going to spawn a Stalwart first, which is a warrior, then a Hunter second, which is a ranger, and then a Magister third, which is a black mage. Now it's only going to spawn those one at a time. Now on the easy difficulty, he's still only going to spawn them one at a time, but now he has the ability to spawn a fourth add of a Stalker, who is a thief. On normal, he is again only spawning these adds one at a time, but now he has the potential to spawn a fifth add, a Valiant on Paladin. Now, it's beyond this difficulty that it starts getting much more challenging, because on difficult, he's going to spawn two of each of those adds previously spoken of during each of the spawn windows, for a total potential possibility of 10 adds out at the end of the run if you take too long to kill that Sabotender. Now, in very difficult, 3 of each of those 5 adds is going to spawn, for a potential of 15 adds being out if you take too long to kill that Sabotender. You also want to keep in mind that each Antican killed will boost the attack of that Consul. Killing only a few adds will make it so that the Consul can one-shot any player with his AoE move called Sand Rush, or the Conal ability called Fettering Tackle. Now, due to these mechanics, the most straightforward path to a win normally consists of taking out the Sabotender as quickly as you can, and then killing the Consul, and then lastly dealing with any of the adds that spawned while you were killing that Sabotender. Now the adds use normal Antican moves and the respective SP abilities. The Hunters will use Eagle Eye Shot almost immediately upon being engaged, so make sure you're ready for that. Now in the normal difficulty example that you're seeing here, I'm doing just this. Taking out that Sabotender as quickly as I can, and in this case with hybrid weapon skills, and then I'm using Shantoto 2 as well, to hopefully get in a bit of extra damage on each of those passes of the Sabotender. Now depending on how long it took you to kill the Sabotender, you will now have to kill between 2 and 4 adds once you finish taking him out. Now obviously the more adds that exist, the harder your run is going to be, so if you find that he's spawning 4 to 5 adds on your run, you may want to consider going down a level in difficulty, as those will be some very long and difficult runs for you. Now after the Sabotender is dead, you want to take out the main Consul NM with multi-step skill chains. I'm using a 4-step Radiance here to try and make the fight go as quickly as possible. Now once he's down, the rest of the fight is rather trivial and you can take out the adds that have spawned. Now back in 2020, I tried an alternative strategy where we killed the adds first and then the Consul, but this strategy requires that you keep shadows up at all times and your trust out of AoE range, as because you will have buffed him so much at that point that he can one-shot anyone who does not have shadows up. Now since I use Sylvie right now as my Unity trust and not Yoran Oran, this really wasn't a good option for me this year. Therefore, I tried this new strategy that worked quite well. However, if you want to see an example of me doing the older strategy and you want to take it on, once again, go ahead and click on that January 2020 video in the top pinned comment of this video. Now, party strategies this month are very similar to that of the solo strategy, in which you want to take out that Sabatender as quickly as possible, then the console, and then lastly the ads. The main difference here is that if you're doing this on very difficult, 3 ads are spawning each time instead of just that one, so you can quickly get overwhelmed if you don't take out that Sabatender within 2 or 3 passes, so make sure all of your melees are ready to do 50% or more of the Cactaur's DPS each time it comes around. Now after this solo battle example, you can see a party example from January 2020 where me and a bunch of people from Elemental Materia took this down. Now the party setup was a Paladin, Monk, Samurai, Ninja, Bard, and White Mage, but really any DD jobs that can deal a good amount of spike damage work well this month, as a number of support jobs and healing jobs can also work well this month. That's pretty much all the information I have to impart from this month's run. Hopefully it gives you a good foundation to understand what's involved this month and how to take it on. Enjoy the rest of the runs. So for this demonstration, we have Aether on Paladin, Newport on Sam, Severos on Monk, Larium on Bard, Lithinde on White Mage, and I'm on Ninwar. We tried many different jobs out this night, so I'll go over the positions one by one so that you know kind of what works and what we found doesn't really work as well. First off, the tank position. Just don't even try it with Ninja. There are too many ads and you don't have enough group hate control. Rune Fencer did work, but Aether found that Paladin did a much better job both holding hate and managing the ads. For the healing position, you will definitely need a solid White Mage or Scholar to keep you alive. I would definitely lean more towards the white mage being more useful in keeping people alive in this one. The healer will have to be ready to do a mass cure after every 10,000 needles, and will also need to be ready to take some hits to the face after Sand Trap is used, and while hate is re-established. Also, don't forget, you can get silenced easily during this fight several times, so everyone should have remedies on them. Now for the melee jobs. You can go with 3 melee and a bard, or just 4 melee. I'm on arguably the job that does the least amount of spike damage, and we made it work, so pretty much any DD should work for this. However, I will say that I gave my well-geared summon a try, and was surprised how poorly it did, and ended up switching back to my ninja for more damage. Core and range also are great DD choices, as they can do damage before the Cactaur arrives at camp. Now, if possible, you want to set up a skill chain for when the Cactaur arrives at camp, but truthfully, it is really hard to set that up with the timing of everything, and the person who opens the skill chain literally has to skill chain as the Cactaur is either arriving at camp, or it needs to be a core or range opening as it's heading towards camp in order to actually execute it in time. Now the first thing I want to emphasize is that everyone must be grouped together while you fight the Cactaur at the start. If not, the Cactaur will almost always use 10,000 needles on the person who is furthest out, which will normally kill them, and make it so that no weapon skills can go off before he runs out of range. Now there are 2 places that you can fight the Cactaur. If you have a range or core, you can fight him in the middle, so that they can hit the Cactaur as it's running around the arena. If you don't have either of them, then I recommend you go ahead and fight in this corner, as it makes it much easier to see when the Cactaur is coming for the melees. Now we have much less time to defeat that Cactaur on this difficulty. You want to beat him in at most 3 passes, and if possible, 2. Here he comes on his first pass. Let's see if we can get him below 50%. Excellent. A 45k Howling Fist, a 24k Fudo, and an 18k Shun puts him at 33%. What a great first pass. Now here's the first set of adds. If your group can manage to kill the Cactaur on that first pass, you can in theory not have to deal with any adds. Now here we are on the Cactaur's second pass. We definitely want to kill him here, or a second set of adds will spawn. Okay, the Cactaur is dead. Now different from my solo strategy, we do not want to buff this boss. So we want to focus on killing him first, and then any adds that have spawned. This shows you the DPS we used to get to that first Cactaur. We had a combined total of about 3,500 DPS on that Cactaur. So if you're, I would say, over about 3,000 DPS, you can probably kill him in those first 2 passes. Important to note that you will see here that he goes ahead and looks like he's going to summon another set of adds. As long as that Cactaur is dead, nothing will happen. I've also heard that he takes increased damage while he is using that summoning animation, so maybe use that time to get in weapon skills if you happen to have TP ready. So multi-step, light, and radiant skill chains all do exceptional damage to the console, so we decided all just to go with light base skill chains, and we just spam those to try and get as many skill chains as possible without having to wait for our weapon skill damage. At this point I finally get my own hate on the console, and will be tanking him for the rest of the fight, while Aether continues to tank the adds. Sadly, I broke my own rule here, and after a long day of runs, I had actually run out of remedies, so thanks for getting silence off me, Liv. Sadly, here is a hate reset, and it's just after I used Provoke, so I'm without a way to get some good hate on him for another 20 seconds. This will happen continually throughout the fight, so it's a good idea for everyone to be on the ninja sub-job for durability during these situations. Here is another one of those hate resets being used with my provoke timer still at 15 seconds. Sadly, this one does have consequences for Newport. Fortunately, by this stage of the fight, a single melee or even two going down should be okay. Just keep damaging that boss. Okay, the boss is down, now just a matter of finishing off the ads if any had popped. If only a single set has popped, this really shouldn't take that long. If 3 sets have popped, this may take some time if you've gotten this far at all. That's going to be it for the March 2022 Ambuscade Volume 1 against Anticans. I hope you found that helpful. Now I'll be releasing some additional videos this month showing how to take this on with other solo jobs. If you're new to the channel, please be sure to click the subscribe button under the video and the bell icon next to it to be notified when my future videos are released. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Stay safe and stay healthy out there.